let's get started with setting up n8n. Familiarizing yourself with the environment is very essential. You need to know where you need to click. You need to know how everything works. Now, just so you know, this section here is something you can familiarize yourself with. This is execute workflow. When you click on it, it initiates the entire workflow. Now, let's move this on the side. Now, how can you recreate something like this? First thing you can do is you can click on search, which is going to give you, excuse me, you can click on plus, execute workflow, sub workflow, if you want to start a new sub workflow agent. But guess what? That is where you can actually search the node panel. Now here, if you double click on it, you see the setting, you can see the parameter. The node here, this is basically where your execution starts. You can specify your settings, always output data, execute once. You can reach out if it fails. Close this. Now we want to execute this, and we want it to perform an action, which is we want it to go and get some data from this URL, which is if you go to the browser and you type in the URL in your browser, you get something like this, as you can see. If I click on print beauty, it makes it looks pretty good here. Now let's get back to this. Now if you go back to your n8n workflow, and then you decide to execute that flow, execute the step, you see it shows offline. If you try it again, it comes back. Why? Because the server might be down when it was tried. Now, as you can see, this is the quote. Those who know, do. Those that doesn't understand, that understand, teach. Aristotle. You can see this information here. Instead of you going to the internet or to the browser to do it yourself, you can basically see that entire flow. However, you can click on execute workflow here. If you click on it, you can click on it again. You can click on it for the third time. You can click on it. Now it works. This is a typical behavior of a server that is not available 24/7, and you can keep retrying, and you can see that it's going to go through. If it doesn't go through, you can try it again, or you can use a more reliable URL here. Now, let's go to another example here, down here. Here, this is more like a schedule me. You like to schedule an activity for a particular time. If you click on it, you can be like, trigger interval, day, right? The days between interval is 1. Trigger at hour, 7 a.m. So basically, every single day by 7 a.m., this workflow will get triggered. Now, what is it going to do? It's going to obtain a quote randomly from this URL. Okay. The next thing it's going to do is going to take the result here. Now, this result is similar to what we did here. But in this case, what we want to do now is we need to connect it to our Gmail so that it sends the result to our Gmail. If you click on plus here, you can type your Gmail. You click on this. But before then, let me open this so that you get to see how it is set up. So this is Gmail message sent to this particular person as a daily quote here. Now, what we can do here is you can connect our Gmail. You click on sign in with Gmail. It's going to ask you for an account to select. You select your Gmail account, and it tells you if you allow n8n cloud access to your Gmail data, you basically be at risk. You can read all this information. You can allow if you want, and you can give it a full permission. You can continue, or you could decide to cherry pick the permission of your choice. Now here, you can now decide that you want to send it to, let's say I want to send it to myself. Now the subject line is this could be daily quote. Now daily quote, now here it's going to be a text, right? And I'm going to pass the information I got here, and it will be sent. Then if I click on execute step, you see data it was able to get. The connection to the server was closed unexpected, which was the issue that we saw earlier. I will try and use a different URL that is more reliable, but let's try it again. Let's try for the third time. Let's try for the 5th time. Okay, now let me try and get a server that is much more reliable for this. Now let me close this. We have the output at the top here. Now here, one thing you can also do is Here, you can also delete an outflow here. Let me bring this up here. And you can decide to connect this to this. Now, if you have an output here for a test, you can also use it here as well. Now, let's run this workflow one at a time. Now, let me click on this. If you click on the execute workflow, we already know that this is. Let's try a couple of times until we get a good result. Then let's go to the next one here. This is a very good way to troubleshoot n8n, where you try it one step at a time, and then you click on execute step here. Left is going to, if it's going to send. Here, as you can see, it was able to send the message to the email that I specified. Now let's check my email. Now here, as you can see in my email, I'm able to get the message that actually came in from the n8n agent. Here, as you can see, it's a here's a code by Les Brown. You must find a place inside your cell where nothing is impossible. Now this, what I just showed you, is how to troubleshoot in n8n. Now, as you can see, this message that came in here, it actually shows up on the email, and it was sent from n8n agent here. As you can see, you can also pass this code to an agent to expand on it before it sends it to the email. And let's also make something different here. Let's include some text here. This is an awesome project. I got to learn how to troubleshoot n8n workflow one step at a time using unreliable API endpoints. Okay, this is one thing you can also do. Now let's execute it. Here, what we're trying to do here is we don't want to try it again. We want to use the existing data that we already pulled. We click on execute. It's going to run just this flow. Here you can see the error that we're seeing. We're not seeing it, but it's still going to send the same data. Now, if I should check my Gmail, I should be able to see that the message came true. Did it quote me? As you can see, this is an awesome project. I got to learn how to troubleshoot n8n workflow one step at a time using unreliable API endpoints. As you can see here, you can also see this information here as well. Now, the next thing is understanding what you just did. What you just did, you just troubleshoot n8n workflow. Even though the API was unreliable, guess what? You're able to run it one step at a time. That is how you get started with n8n. Also, that is also how you troubleshoot n8n. Another thing you should also understand is you can also check the execution history. You can also check what failed in that particular time. As you can see, you can also click on this. Now let's add a tag to this one. This is bad. You can add a different tag to this error. This is a mistake. Then you can tag this. This is fixed. So you could actually tag it, and you can also have multiple tags. Done. So that by the time you're going back in time to actually check what actually happened, you have better context around it. This is bad, this is a mistake. Because let's say this is a bad, this actually failed. You could decide to specify that the API endpoint failed. Something like that. More like a way to tag it. And you can also tag it as error. Also. So you can also add a different tag here. So by the time you go back in time to understand what really happened, why did it fail, and you troubleshoot it, you have better context in fixing it. And then also you can also go back to debug mode. You could go back to that particular time to have better context around what just happened. Now this is your text editor. Execute workflow from one click, as you can see. You can decide to close this section here so you can focus on understanding what really happened. So that is how you can connect your Google Gmail to n8n.